Chapter 216. Charlie smiled and said, "Remember your words, maybe I will have something to do for you in the future." Orville hurriedly nodded. "Mr. Charlie, if you have anything, just order." At this time, Mr. Lai had been lying on the floor crying and begging for mercy. "Big brother, please, I am a bullsh *T. I will never dare any more." Orville sneered, "You liar, my people will come right away, and they will arrange it for you." Charlie asked in a low voice, "What are you going to do with him?" Orville said coldly, "I said how to chop up and feed the dog, how can I say nothing? I have a little brother who opened a dog-fighting kennel, let alone him, 10 SC*M, he can also eat with those dogs." Charlie glanced at him without any sympathy. This kind of deceitful liar is no different from a quack doctor. If a quack doctor is not cured, he will kill people. If you mess with this kind of fake feng shui, you may also die. To put it bluntly, they are all rascal bastards, and they are indeed dead. Moreover, today, in order to defraud Warnier's money, he completely completed the trapped dragon formation. Warnier could have run out of life soon. People like her control hundreds of billions of assets. If her fortune and fate are all exhausted, I don't know how many people below will be implicated. In that case, Warnier will not be the only one killed. Therefore, there is really no need for such a SC*M to stay in the world. At this time, Orville's younger brother came over, set up the deceitful Mr. Lai, and took away. When Mr. Lai left, the ghost cried and howled, crying how miserable, innocent, and regretful he was, but no one sympathized with him. Charlie shook his head as he watched, and said that he had a bloody disaster today. He didn't believe him, he really deserved it. After solving all the problems, Orville thanked Charlie a lot, and only then sent him home. After returning home, Claire was still looking for work online. Charlie didn't say much. In fact, Charlie himself wanted to support Claire in starting a company, but it seemed that Claire didn't have this idea, so he didn't say much. He also didn't want Claire to be too tired. If she were to start a company and start a business, she would have a lot of work in the early stage. With Claire's personal character, she would suffer a lot. In the evening, Charlie received a call from his good brother Stephen in college. Since the last time helped him teach a lesson to the adulterer and his ex in the hospital, Charlie has never seen him again. The main reason is that there are too many things in the family that he really can't take care of. Stephen told Charlie on the phone that he had almost recovered and was discharged today. Since Charlie helped him get back to the hotel and paid millions in compensation, the first thing he did when he was discharged from the hospital was to invite a few better classmates to dinner. Seeing that his good brother was about to be discharged from the hospital, Charlie naturally readily agreed. At this time, Claire walked out of the bathroom after taking a shower, and casually asked Charlie, "It's so late, who is calling you?" Charlie said indifferently, "Stephen is discharged from the hospital. We're going to have a dinner. Let's go together tomorrow." Claire nodded and said, "Okay." Chapter 217. At noon the next day, Charlie drove his wife Claire to Fonglin Hotel. Although Fonglin Hotel is not top-notch in Oris Hill, it can be regarded as a luxury level, enough to show Stephen's sincerity. This time Stephen was also considered to be bleeding, and he directly booked a luxurious box in the Fonglin Hotel. The box is luxuriously decorated, enough to accommodate 20 people, and the initial consumption alone is 7,000 or 8,000. After Charlie arrived, many people had already arrived in the box. Besides Stephen and Elsa, there were also a few classmates. Elsa has not had a good time recently. She has come to Oris Hill from Yenching University for a long time, so as to have the opportunity to get in touch with the chairman of the Emgrand Group. However, after working for so long, she has never had a chance to see the real person of the chairman. Moreover, she used to be the administrative director inside the company, but now it's better to go straight out to be the sales director. She runs around outside every day. What made her tortured even more was that she had been obsessed with that man since she was rescued by that mysterious man last time. Therefore, her desire to meet the chairman of the Emgrand Group is not as great as before. Now she only wants to see her lifesaver because she feels as if she has fallen in love with the mysterious man at first sight. But she couldn't think of it. In fact, the chairman of the Emgrand Group and the mysterious lifesaver were actually the same person, Charlie. Seeing Charlie and Claire entering the box, Stephen hurriedly stood up and said, "Charlie, Claire, you are here, sit down, have a seat." Stephen greeted Charlie and Claire with a very respectful tone, and he admired and appreciated this good brother. Elsa looked a little haggard when she saw the two of them. She felt that she had a stomach and no one could say anything. Seeing Claire, she suddenly had the urge to talk. So she stepped forward and took Claire's wrist and said weakly, "Claire, let's sit together. I have something to tell you." Claire smiled and said, "What's wrong with you, looking listless?" Elsa sighed and said, "It's not because of my mysterious lifesaver. I found that I have fallen in love with him completely. Now I close my eyes and I am full of him in my head. It is him who I see in sleeps and dreams, but I can't find him. What should I do with him? This, I can't help it." Claire helplessly spread her hands. After Elsa was rescued by a mysterious man, she shouted all day to find that man. "But there are so many people, where can I find him? A single mysterious person?" Charlie on the side just sat down and heard Claire and Elsa's words. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Elsa actually fell in love with him? This is too ridiculous. Don't let Elsa know that her male god is him, otherwise there will definitely be a mess. After 3 rounds of wine and food, Stephen began to liven up the atmosphere again. "Everyone, thank you all for coming today. I will toast to everyone." After speaking, he drank it all. Several well-connected classmates applauded one after another. "Mr. Stephen is great." Charlie smiled faintly, took a sip from the wine glass. "I heard that Mr. Stephen is now the big boss. He opened a big hotel, he still has 2 million cash in his hand, and he knows people in the influential circles. He must take care of us in the future." A coquettish woman dressed in enchanting clothes, with light makeup on her face, smiled charmingly. Chapter 2:18. Juan Thompson, what you said, Stephen and us are the best classmates. If something happens, he will definitely give us a hand. A man with a Chinese character face also picked up a wine glass and drank it in one go. Charlie glanced over them faintly, vaguely remembering that the two of them were his college classmates. The female was Juan Thompson, and the male was Jianhua Liu. Stephen said embarrassedly, "What it is really a long story, not worth mentioning." After finishing speaking, he looked at Charlie and sighed with emotion. When he met AS Scumbag, he had almost been deceived for nothing, and was even beaten up. However, it is precisely because of Charlie's help that he could retake the hotel and receive 2 million in compensation. It can be said that this was all given by Charlie, so how embarrassed to take it out. So, he turned the topic off and said, "Jianhua is doing well now. I heard that you have become an executive of a company, and you have an annual salary of 700,000 to 800,000. Jianhua sighed and said, "Don't mention it, that company is too bad. I'm about to resign and go to Xinhe Company to try. I heard that our university classmate Chong Han was a senior manager there. Now it's pretty good. Unexpectedly, this kid could have this ability." "Oh," Stephen smiled awkwardly. His relationship with Chong Han was not good, so Chong Han was not invited to this party. However, Jianhua and Chong Han are very close. If they go to Xinhe Company and have Chong Han's support, they must be able to mix in a good position. Elsa also said thoughtfully, "I heard that Xinhe Company in Aurus Hill is also a good large company, and it is quite strong. I can't expect Chong Han to mix so well now." Claire suddenly froze when she heard Xinhe Company. After breaking with the Wilson family, she was expelled from the Wilson Group. In order to find a job, she has put in a lot of resumes these days, one of which is Xinhe Company. Thinking of this, Claire smiled and said, "It just so happens that I have to apply for a job at Xinhe Group. If it passes, we will work in a company in the future." Juan on the side asked in astonishment, "In the beginning, you have been in the Wilson Group. Well, why should you go to Xinhe Company to submit your resume?" Claire said helplessly, "I have drawn a clear line from the Wilson family now, so I have to go out and find a new job, otherwise I can't support my family." When Juan heard this, she looked at Charlie's eyes full of contempt. Charlie, look at how hard it was in the beginning. As a man, you actually let your woman fall to this point, you are too useless. The relationship between Jianhua and Charlie is not good, so she laughed unscrupulously. Charlie, or go to Cheonghan's company to apply, although with your ability, you can only be a cleaner, but for the face of old classmates, it's okay to let you be a cleaning supervisor. Charlie said lightly, you should keep this good thing for yourself, I'm not interested. Seeing him so unappreciative, Jianhua said uncomfortably, Charlie, I know you have a strong self-esteem, but you see now, everyone is better than you, I advise you to recognize the reality. Stephen frowned and said, okay, today is the day of our classmates' reunion. Don't run against Charlie like this. After that, Stephen said apologetically to Charlie, Charlie, you must not take to your heart, Huan and Jianhua are so straightforward. Huan snorted coldly and said, Stephen, who made Charlie this rubbish, always look calm and unreliable. He has no ability, and he is quite good at pretending to be compelling. Jianhua added disdainfully, he is just a poor D*ck. Chapter 219. Charlie's eyes were very cold, but looking at Stephen's face, he didn't bother to be familiar with these two idiots. Seeing this, Huan and Jianhua looked down on Charlie even more. They were ridiculed. They didn't even dare to put a **T. They were a waste. Jianhua continued sarcastically, hey, if you want me to tell you, Claire is really blind. If so many good boys in our class don't look for her, why did she pick a rag like Charlie? As he was speaking, at this moment, the door of the box was suddenly pushed open. Boom! Several sturdy men in black broke into the box, and one of them, a young man with a cigarette in his head, said coldly, get out of here, I want this box. Jianhua frowned and said, what are you doing? Didn't you see us eating? After speaking, he patted the table and said, this is the Fenglin Hotel. Don't you understand the rules of first come first come first? First come first? The young man with a cigarette holding a small inch walked up to Jianhua and slapped him directly. Jianhua fell to the ground, his face swollen immediately. You fking pretend to be forceful with me? I'm the fking Leopard Lin under Orville. Who the H*LL are you? Leopard Lin? Jianhua held his face, his eyes panicked. Leopard is a famous leader in this area. Although it's not a big deal in Aurus Hill, it is a person who no one can afford to offend. Sorry Leopard, let's go now, let's go. Leopard sneered and looked at the crowd cursing, what are you doing in a daze? Don't get out of here. Elsa and Claire panicked, and subconsciously hid behind Charlie. Charlie looked at Leopard Lin and said coldly, from Mr. Orville's face, you get out now, I can spare your life. FCK, Charlie, you're fking crazy, this is Leopard, Brother Leopard. Sorry Brother Leopard, we are not familiar with this Charlie, just ask him if you have anything, don't hurt us. Jianhua and Huan criticized Charlie for being bloody. What AF *King pretense, this is Orville's Leopard. It's a murderous person who has seen blood. You don't want to look to him like this unless you are looking for death. However, the man named Leopard hesitated. He looked at Charlie as if he was thinking of something. His expression suddenly changed and he said tentatively, you are Charlie Wade? Leopard has been following Orville for a long time. He had the privilege of hearing Charlie's name and then suddenly remembered. Charlie said coldly, could there be two other Charlie yes in Aurus Hill? Leopard was struck by thunder and immediately knelt on the ground. I'm sorry Mr. Wade, I didn't know that it were you master. I deserve 1,000,000 deaths. Jianhua watched this scene and said blankly, oh Brother Leopard, is there any misunderstanding? It's true that this person is called Charlie, but he is just a rubbish son-in-law, not a master at all. Leopard Lin turned pale when he heard this, and kicked Jianhua to the ground. Be it starred, your mother, are you looking for death? Dare to insult Mr. Wade and see if I won't kill you today. Although Leopard can be regarded as the #1 person in the surrounding area, he knew in his heart that he was a dog of Orville, and facing Charlie, Orville had to kneel and lick, and he was even qualified to lick the bottom. Dare not have it. And you BTCH, you fking dare to insult Mr. Wade. While talking, Leopard turned his head and gave Juan a slap, bleeding her mouth. Chapter 220. Oh, Leopard Lin, we still have to eat, please get out of here. Charlie didn't bother to care about a small character like Leopard, so he directly bowed his hand and let him go. Leopard nodded and bowed his waist and said, "Don't worry, Mr. Wade, I'll get out of here." "Get out of here now." After finishing speaking, like a pug, he quickly retreated from the box. In the box, don't mention how uncomfortable Jianhua and Juan were. Charlie, who had just been mocked by them in every possible way, turned into Mr. Wade in the mouth of Brother Leopard. What the H*LL was going on? There must be some misunderstanding inside. Charlie is just a waste. Also worthy of being called Lord, a master? Stephen said to the two of them, "You two, let's have a snack in the future. You must be low-key when you come out. What should be said and what should not be said, think before you speak, it could bring you big trouble." Jianhua and Juan had just been beaten by Leopard, and now they dare not even let go. Stephen then said to Charlie, "Charlie, thanks to you, I toast you on behalf of everyone, thank you." Charlie smiled faintly, "It's just a small matter." The next day, Claire received an interview invitation from Xinhe Company. The interview was scheduled in the afternoon, and Charlie took advantage of Claire's attention and took out his cell phone to call Solomon White. After the call was connected, Solomon White's respectful voice rang, "Mr. Wade, what are your instructions?" Charlie said lightly, "My wife is going to apply for a job at Xinhe Construction Company. I want to ask you about this company." Solomon White was surprised and said, "Xinhe Construction Company? This company is a wholly owned enterprise controlled by the White family. Miss Wilson is going to apply for this company? This is too bad for Miss Wilson, or I will just remove the chairman of the company. How about changing Miss Wilson as the next chairman?" Charlie was stunned when he heard the words. He was a little surprised that Xinhe Company belonged to the White family. If Solomon White can help, it would be good, but after thinking about it, his wife wanted to rely on her own ability, so he said lightly, "No, you just arrange it then and let my wife pass the interview." Solomon White immediately respectfully said, "Okay, Mr. Wade, I will arrange it now." Here, after Solomon White just hung up the phone, he immediately asked his assistant to send a notice to the senior management of Xinhe Company. The thing Mr. Wade ordered, he must do well. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Claire was about to leave for an interview at Xinhe Company. Since the car was sent to the Falls shop for maintenance today, Charlie and Claire had no choice but to take a taxi, but this was the peak time. The two waited on the roadside for a long time and did not get a taxi. Claire was a little anxious, and said helplessly, "If I miss the interview with Xinhe Company a little later, it would definitely give them a bad impression. I would not have sent the car for maintenance if I knew it." Charlie was also very helpless. Looking at the number of taxis, there are more than 50 people who can turn to him. It's really a mistake. At this time, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom slowly stopped in front of the two. The window rolled down and the person inside was Solomon White. He was surprised and said, "Mr. Charlie, are you planning to take a taxi?" Charlie was stunned for a moment. It's a coincidence that Solomon White just made it. So he said, "I want to take my wife to the Xinhe Company for an interview. Why are you here?"